Hello, you're welcome to the Faith and Culture Podcast. This is Damio Guntunde. Today, I'll be answering a very critical question with respect to relationships and marriages. What's the checklist like for maintaining union or oneness in a relationship or in your marriage? All right, stay tuned for that. Imagine you want to get a car, for example. You're going to consider a number of factors. Number one would perhaps be the engine, right? The efficiency of the engine, the capacity of the engine. You're also going to check the fuel economy, because that's what will determine how much you're likely going to spend on maintaining the car. And then, of course, you're going to check out the aesthetics, right? Now, imagine if somebody gave you a very beautiful car, extremely beautiful, very, very aesthetically pleasing, but the fuel economy is not very good, especially in a climate like Nigeria. And of course, the engine is terrible. In fact, it's gone through about 3 or 4 ringing, quote unquote. Are you likely going to get that car? The likelihood will be no. That's exactly how it is sometimes when we prioritize physical qualities above spiritual qualities in making decisions with respect to relationships or marriage. Now, I've given you 3 different factors with respect to a car. Talked about the aesthetics, we've talked about the fuel economy, we've talked about the engine. Now, within the context of relationships, that engine is like the spirit, and then the fuel economy is like the soulish realm, the personality type, the tendencies, the attitudes, and then of course the physical side is the aesthetics. Now, in every situation, if you exalt the aesthetics with respect to the car context above the engine, you would not be considered to be a very wise purchaser, right? And that's exactly what happens when a lot of people, when it comes to the decision of who they want to spend the rest of their life with, they just totally ignore the spiritual side, the soulish side, and they just focus alone on the physical beauty. I mean, for example, you go to tell your friends that you found a girl or you like a girl and all of that. The first thing they're likely going to tell you is, let me see her picture. Is she fine? She set, that kind of thing. And a lady also, she's telling her girlfriends, oh, I like this guy. There's this guy that I really like from this, from that, from church or whatever it is. And they're like, let me see his picture. Show me his handle. Let me check him out and stuff like that. Aaron Pierre. Mufasa kind of vibes. Let me see, is he fine? Does he have cat eyes? Whatever it is. And they're only checking on the physical dimension. Now, the same way it would be unwise for you to make a very wise car purchasing decision on the strength of only the physical side of a car. That is also how unwise it is to make a lasting decision about who you spend the rest of your life with. All right, on the strength of just her physical beauty. Now, a car is replaceable. If you buy a car now, say out of mistake, it was an unwise decision. You can reverse it. You can buy another one. You can replace it. You can return it. You can, you can have an insurance. It can be replaced, whatever it is. However, a marriage is not designed with replacement in mind. So if you will not make that silly decision, all right, with a car, why should you do that with your life? The rest of your life, literally. And that is why the checklist for maintaining union and oneness in a marriage should follow this strong cadence, right? It should follow this set of priority. It is first the spiritual side that should be considered first and foremost. Then the soulish realm can be considered. Then the physical realm. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't consider anything about the physical. Because the truth be told, when you drive that car into an arena, into a party, nobody's checking the engine. Nobody's asking about the fuel economy. Everybody's looking at the physical beauty of the car. So at the end of the day, that sort of matters. And of course, you also have to be comfortable with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, as far as what they look like, is concerned. As far as how they appeal to you. Do you feel something when you look at them? Do you feel like, boy, I really got a good bargain with this person that God has blessed me with? Do you feel proud of them in the public space? So I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but I'm saying that it is the third in priority. That is, you don't exalt that position to the first and expect to make a very wise decision from that sort of process of decision making. The first thing you consider is the spiritual alignment. And what do you consider a spiritual alignment? Is this person saved to start with? Is this person born again? That's the first thing you consider. If the person is not born again, then guess what? Your father-in-law is going to be the devil, because your father is God and his own father is the devil. So your father-in-law is going to be the devil in the marriage. So why do you want to do that to yourself? All right. So the first thing you need to consider is the spiritual alignment. Is this person saved? Now, another thing about being saved is this. It's not everybody that is saved that is qualified to be your husband or your wife. Because it may be very easy to differentiate between a snake and a lion. But it may not be very easy to differentiate between species of snakes, right? In the same vein, right, it may be very easy to differentiate between an unbeliever and a believer. But it may not be so easy to differentiate between a good believer and a carnal believer. And that is why you need to pay a bit more attention, because he may be saved, but what are his qualities? What are his value systems? What are the things that he holds very highly? What are the things that she prioritizes? Is this person generous? I mean, it's our year of supernatural generosity at the PowerPoint tribe. And so that's a very powerful quality that anyone who you want to spend the rest of your life with should possess. Are they generous? Are they kind? Are they gentle? Do they love people? Do they speak down on other people, especially those who are at the bottom of the economic ladder? Or are they kind to people? These are the things you look out for. The fact that somebody is a believer does not mean the believer is meant for you. So there are a few things you also need to consider on that spiritual aspect. Is this person saved? And apart from being saved, is this person a mature Christian? Because marriage is going to test your spirituality to the letter. It's going to test you. It's going to test your patience. It's going to test your long suffering. It's going to test your sacrifice. It's going to test your gentleness. It's going to test literally everything in the fruit of the Spirit. And so if you're not mature, you're not likely going to survive the heat of marriage. But the whole idea for that heat is to turn you into the image of Christ. And so you must go into that marriage with that understanding that the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with has to be someone who is capable of building me, growing me, grooming me, maturing me into the image of Christ. And only a mature Christian, all right, and another mature Christian can create such a connection. Praise God. Now, so that's the first thing. Then the second thing is the solical realm, right? You check the person's mental acumen, all right? How much can you both vibe at the personality level? What are the personality tendencies? Is this person extroverted? Is this person introverted? Is this person talkative? Is this person a little too quiet for me? Does this person like to stay home only? Does this person enjoy going out? Does this person like to have company? All right. Or is this person a little too reserved for my liking? These are the things you begin to then consider, because truth is, we only know people historically. I can't say I know you into your future. I only know you based on what you have done, how you have lived in the past. However, I'm not marrying you for the past. I'm not marrying you for history. I'm marrying you for the future. So it's a very interesting dynamic. The fact that all I know about you is historical. However, I'm supposed to make a value judgment, a judgment based on that historical perspective that I have of you for the future. Because I'm not marrying you for the past. I'm marrying you for the future. And that is why you must be very sensitive and discerning to understand the requirements of your purpose and your destiny, which is another very important conversation to have. That is, you should really have no business looking for somebody to spend the rest of your life with if you have not come to discover the purpose of God for your life. What are you doing looking for someone? Imagine I come to you and say, let's go. What are you going to ask me? To where? Right? Where are we going? And I say, don't worry, just follow me. You're like taken aback. I'm not sure I understand. I mean, I have to know where I'm going before I commit to going with you. And that's how exactly it is when some people go ask ladies out and they have no idea where they're going with their lives. They have no idea what God has called them to do. They have no idea exactly the sense of purpose that they should have. You see, it is that sense of purpose that will determine who can go with you, who cannot go with you, who will be excess luggage, who will be, unnecessary baggage, who will be a weight, who will be someone that is not particularly compatible with the length of your journey and the speed with which you want to go at, because that person will be an encumbrance. And those are the things you need to consider. That is, you need to know your purpose, and on the strength of that purpose, you discover the person on the spiritual dimension. Then you check out the person also on the solical realm. All right, where I'm going in life, is this person capable of carrying that mental, all right, capacity to push us to the next level? All right, what's this person in their soul, in their mental acumen? All right. Does this person have the mental capacity to carry the weight of our destiny? Now, this person may be spiritually sound, the person may be a Christian, but you see that the person doesn't really like to read. The person is not really, good with people. The person is just very laid back. These are issues in the soul that needs to be addressed. Of course, the Word of God can address that, and that is why the spiritual alignment is the most important alignment. That is the deal breaker, and that is the point where deal breakers should not be negotiated. That is, if you see someone that is not aligned with you spiritually, don't bother and say, well, the physical will compensate. It will never compensate. The fact that this person is beautiful, it cannot compensate for the deficiency in the spirit. Another reason is because the flesh is subject to degeneracy. That is, there are laws of diminishing returns. They're going to be older 5 years' time than you are right now. So the body will constantly decay. Bible says, though our outward man perishes, our inward man is renewed day by day. So how about you you leverage that part of the human frame that is actually subject to renewal on a regular basis, not the one that is subject to degeneracy and decay on a regular basis. So if I make a decision about who I want to spend the rest of my life with on the strength of our spiritual stamina and capacity, the likelihood that I'm going to keep thanking God for that decision is high, because I didn't leverage something that cannot really last, like the human body, the human frame, right? 50 years from now, imagine how old you're going to look. Imagine how many gray hair will be on your head. Look at how saggy everything is going to look. But you see, love actually should continue to grow stronger in spite of the decay, quote unquote, in the human body. How is that even possible? Except you have leveraged and anchored on the most critical aspect of that person, which is their spirit man. That part does not get decayed. That part does not get to degenerate. That part gets renewed day by day, the closer they are to the Spirit of God in fellowship, in worship, and in service to Him. And then the power of that Spirit can then rub off on the soul. But nothing is so powerful that rubs off on the flesh to such a degree that it does not decay anymore. All right? So at the end of the day, right, you have to make a decision for the long term. Don't be myopic. Don't say, you know what, I want a fine wife, I want a fine woman, I want a fine husband, and that's all that matters to you. 5 years down the line, your priorities change. You realize that you want to be serious with your God. You realize that he's a very terrible parent. You realize that he doesn't even know the next thing about financial management, and you're just blaming yourself. A fine, six-packs, tall, dark, and handsome, but not very wise with finance, not very wise with his speech. He's not prudent in words. All right, and he doesn't even pray. He doesn't read his Bible. He cannot father the home. He cannot train the children properly. He doesn't take them to church. He cannot hold down his house in gravity. And you're wondering, I just have a fine, tall, amazing guy who really is not good for any other thing apart from being a fine guy. And there has to be much more to your relationship than that. So the three priorities in terms of the checklist for alignment and for oneness in marriage is spiritual alignment, which carries the highest weight. Then the solical alignment, that is mental transformation, mind renewal. Those things are extremely important, which is also incumbent on the spiritual side. Because if your spirit is not aligned with that of Christ, your soul is not likely going to be renewed at any rate, really. Because what are the ideologies that you're going to be adopting into your lifestyle if you're not aligned with the spirit of the Christ? Christ is the way, is the truth, is the life. And if you're deriving your philosophies from social media, from celebrity culture and all of that, you're not likely going to have a very robust mental transformation. Do you see what I mean? And so the spiritual side is so important, then the solical transformation, and then we talk about the physical side, which is the least important, but it does not make it any less important in the sense that it doesn't mean it is not important. It is important, but it is the least important of these three dimensions of the human soul, of the human frame. We're not just body, we're not just body and soul, we are spirit, soul, and body. And every Christian should make his decision based on these three dimensions to the person. And interestingly, the most important is the least met, or it is the one you meet last. So for example, if I see a car, the first thing I see is the body. Then after driving for a while, I get to see the other sides to it, like its fuel economy and then the engine and all of that. It's the same with the human frame as well. The first thing I'm likely going to see in you is your body, your frame. And that's why, it's the basis for a lot of people's faulty decisions in marriage, because they're carried away by the beauty of this person, how fine this person is, how great this person looks. But the most important aspect is not the one you meet first. You meet the body first, but it should be the least considered. Now, after having conversation with this person, you get to meet the soul, the personality, the kind of person this person is. But it does not mean you have met the person's spirit. So it is after a protracted season that you get to meet the person's spirit. It is in the spirit you begin to learn things around convictions, things, non-negotiable convictions, purposes, right? Passions. It is a spiritual conversation. When you talk about the soul, you're talking about opinions, you're talking about personality, preferences, all right? Ideologies, philosophies. Do you see my point? But spirit, you're talking about convictions, things that this person will never change their mind about. because they have seen something that has impacted their spirit in an indelible way. And you have to meet somebody's spirit before you say you want to spend the rest of your life with that person. Because in your mind, you think this person likes you until you get married to the person and you realize that this person has a stronger commitment to a terrible idea or to a terrible philosophy or spirit. They have this commitment to one spirit that is very diametrically opposed to how you rather organize your life. And you're wondering, I thought you liked me. Well, they liked you, but they don't like you as much as that thing they're committed to. Because nobody should like anybody more than their spiritual commitments. The same way I should love God more than my spouse, because it is that God that has told me to be committed to her. So I better be committed more to God than to my spouse. If you like a person above God, you will cheat on God with that person. And the same way they cheated on God with that person, they will cheat on you too with another person, because you are not the highest standard in their life. But if God is my highest standard, if God is the biggest deal in my life, and He has told me to be committed to my wife is more secure in the fact that I love God more than her. Do you see? So don't be flattered when someone says, you are the only person in this life that I want to see, that I want to talk to. You are the one I love the most. If I don't see you, I will not sleep. Things like that should not flatter you. All right? God should be the most important person in that person's life. And it's on the strength of their relationship with God that they'll be able to love you with the love of God. So spiritual first, then mind renewal, mental capacity, all right, intellectual sagacity, that is very important. And then physical comes last. Though important, it is the least important. When you can consider these three factors in a very intelligent and spiritually informed way, the likelihood that you will make the right decision about who you spend the rest of your life with in marriage is high. Okay, I hope this helps you. I hope this blesses you. If you're aligned on these three things, you will stay married for a long time. That's the prediction of Scripture. All right, and I hope you find this very useful. Share this with someone. And interestingly, right, I wrote a lot more about all these things that I shared with you in my book. The title of the book is Love Math. That is how two people actually become one. It's going to be an incredible read. All right, so look out for that. Just like, follow, comment here, subscribe to the channel, and you will be informed. You can follow the link in the bio or somewhere on the screen, and then get to connect with me on my website and download, or rather order that book. God bless your hearts. God bless you. Thank you.